Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Rose for all of you that are new here, and we are currently doing a series on the first book of Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas. So if you've read that book, awesome, stay tuned. We have finished it. That's right. Book one is finally finished, and I can't wait any longer to make this video. I've been chomping at the bit. I've got my I almost said I got my handy dandy notebook. But you know, we're not even going to go there with any kind of Blue's Clues reference because, yeah, no. So the last video was chapters 50 through 68. And on this video, we are doing chapters 68 through 97. So, if you are interested in this video, then please stay tuned. And if at the end of the video you like it, then please give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button because the first book is just the beginning. We have 2 more books to go. So without further ado, let's get into this video. Okay, my lovely people. So, whew, Lord, let me tell you, Sarah J. Maas did not disappoint. Now, if you've read any of her other books, we know that the last 200, 400 pages are jam-packed, smack your face, fuck you sideways. Didn't see that coming. Yes. And let me tell you, I read 68 through 97, which is over 400 pages in one fucking day. Yes. Now, I have a husband and I have a kid, and I was like, I cannot stop. Here's dinner. Here's I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning when I finally finished reading this, and my jaw has. Anyway, so without further ado, if you have not finished reading, please know that I am giving you all the spoilers in every single one of my videos. I am giving you what happened, theories of what I think is going to happen, were some of my theories right, you know, that sort of thing. So, but yes, so this is 68 through 97. I'm going to start with where it left off, and we're going all the way through to the end. And you know, I'm gonna pray that my battery does not die, because I've got like 5 whole pages of notes here. I mean, it's not a big notebook, but you know. So let's get started, because this is gonna be a long ass video, and yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. So we left off with Justin was crucified. Victoria was in a box, and Hunt was left in prison down in one of the cells. Micah, that motherfucker, gave Hunt back to Sandra. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Shahara's sister. You know, the evil bitch that, yeah, so Hunt now belongs back to her. He solved the fucking case. Of course, at the same time of solving the case, he also became another, like, he was still a traitor. And, got caught. So now he's going back. Oh! He's going back to Sandra. Yes. So, Bryce finds this out, and because she's thinking he's gonna fucking die. Micah's gonna kill him. Like, Micah is seriously gonna kill him. Nope. Bryce found out. She went to the barracks to beg Sandra for Hunt's life. She wanted to buy Hunt's freedom. And she offered Sandral, I think it was like 93,000 gold. It's more than what she could make in like 1,000 years. Because once she makes a drop, then, she'll be immortal. So, all of this money, which she borrows from Jessica, to try to get Hunt's freedom. Yeah. Sandra's like, maybe. So then Bryce takes off her amulet that she has on for her protection, and Sandra takes it and she's looking at it. She goes, there's only like 4 of these left in existence or something like that. And Bryce is like, yeah. And Sandra sits there and melts it. And now it's melted gold on the floor. And after doing all of this, Sandra declines. So then B is like, take me instead. Take me in his place. I will give up my life for his. Hunt's like, this is not fucking happening. Like, I just totally, like, fucked her over. And she's still trying to, like, save my life. What the shit? Anyway. So Rune comes running into the barracks because Sandra's like, that might be a good bargain. You for him. You haven't made the drop yet. What could I do to you? So before she can accept anything, Rune comes in, invokes Fae protection, and advises everybody who is watching fucking Hunt leave, which is like everyone in the barracks and then some, that B is his sister. Hunt is now in fucking shock, like, oh my god, how did I not fucking see it? How did I not see the resemblance? I've been living with her, I've been watching her, and I thought this whole cousin interaction thing that they had was a little, too close sometimes, and it never fell into place. Surprise! So, Bryce is like, what the actual fuck? Sandra's like, well, there goes that, and leaves with Hunt. She's now pissed off at Rune. She leaves, and as she's walking to the docks, the demon comes out and attacks her. Declan, we got to meet Declan. Thank you, fan art. I got some nice picture of him. I got a nice picture of him. Good Lord. And yeah, so he saved her life. But has anybody seen The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime? Or has anybody read the huge ass book series, The Wheel of Time? Now, that eventually will be on my, like, to be read. I mean, we did 8 books with Throne of Glass. What's 15, right? Like, and I've read 15 books from an author before. I don't know how many. Anyway, so I wrote down here, I said, doesn't the horn remind anyone of the horn from Wheel of Time? Or is it just me? And if you haven't seen it, I believe it's in season 2. They have this horn, and when you blow the horn, it allows portals to open. It's exactly like that. It really is. Like, did you just see my brain go boom? Anyway. So when you blow this horn, it allows portals to open and others to join your war or your cause. So I don't know if that's where this is going, but, that's just kind of like, that kind of came in my brain when I was reading this. So we get to the summit. And we're at the summit and everyone's walking in. So it goes by hierarchy. So you have your low levels that come in and they stand off to the right and to the left. And then you have your bigger names come in. And then you have, like your dukes and your duchesses, that sort of thing. So that kind of hierarchy is what we're seeing as the people for the summit come into play. And as the Queen of the Witches comes in, guess who's the new queen for the witches? It's the Med Witch. And her name, after all this time that we've gotten glimpses of, her name is Hypaxia. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Hypaxia is the queen of witches. And I'm like, what? So, if we remember correctly, Rune's got a little thing for her. Maybe. I don't know. He's an endless flirt. She's been helping Rune. And Rune's dad, Mr. Autumn King, wanted Rune and her to be a match to help strengthen their bloodlines, whatever. So, as we're sitting here at the summit and everyone's sitting around, Rune mind links to Hunt. He can like telepathy. Telepathy? That's telepathy, yes. So he's a telepath. Like, that's ridiculous. So he's like Reese. We know Reese from Akatar. He can go ahead and go into people's minds, and he can read them and do certain things in their minds. I don't know that Rune has any kind of control over mind power, other than he's just able to infiltrate, and you can talk to him without moving your lips and he can hear you perfectly fine. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I have a theory, and while everyone is kind of sitting around looking at all this, Rune keeps looking at Fury. Theron is there with the mer people, and not the queen of the Blue Court, but one of her daughters is there to represent the Blue Court, because the queen barely ever leaves. And I was just thinking, like, since we know Hunt is still part of this whole rebel thing, and we know that Hypaxia, or our Med Witch, has kind of like, she's hinted to not liking the way certain things are done, or how the hierarchy is, how it is. So I was wondering, could Rune, Fury, Theron, and Hypaxia all be part of like an undercover something? Like, they feel sorry that Hunt was caught, and if they would have known that he was still not just a toy for the governor, but that he still had this ambition to try to better their world, would they have brought him into it? It's a theory. Don't know if that's true, but I'm just thinking, like, anyway. So during the summit, everyone comes in. Of course, our governor and Miss Sandral are the last two to arrive. And then the Astri come on like a big screen and is like, oh, we approve these proceedings. Well, that's nice. Assholes. Can't wait to meet one of those. Honestly, at this point, with the way that things are done, I really hope it all falls and burns. That would be, anyway. So we find out that during this meeting, Micah leaves, and we're all like, where's he going? Like, everyone that he needs to be aware of is here at the summit. So where's he going? And Sandra's like, oh, he had to run an errand. He'll be right back. Like, he got approval. Whatever. Not a big deal. Bryce is down in the library talking with Lily and is like, woe is me, all that lovely stuff. So Micah shows up. And Bryce is like, aren't you supposed to be at the summit? And he's like, yeah, but I came to see you. She's like, okay. Jessica's not here. And he's like, I know, but I came to see you. And she's like, okay. What are you interested in buying? Like, what do you need? Trying to feel out why he's there. And he's still on the outside. Like, he hasn't come in yet. And he's like, no, I came to see you. So he breaks the wards on the place and comes in. Now, Bryce is downstairs in this library that nobody's supposed to know about. And here comes Micah, and he's standing in the doorway, and he's looking at this library. And he's like, I knew it wasn't fucking gone. And Bryce is like, knew what wasn't gone? And he goes, Jessica's library is that of one prior to the ash tree in power. So the books in Jessica's library are older than the ash tree. So they prove that the ash tree are not needed to control power. They aren't needed to even be in power. They're not almighty like they try to seem to be. Like, you can overthrow them. And we'll still fucking survive because we have books that predate their existence or their evolvement into power. Bryce is like, I don't know what you're talking about. So, while we're sitting there, you know, Bryce already doesn't like Micah. And he's like talking. And Bryce is like, okay, something's going to happen. Like, something is going to happen. So she takes out her phone and she connects her phone to all of the cameras inside of the library. And she contacts Jessica. And Jessica's like, what the fuck? So then she's like, excuse me, Declan, is there any way that you could broadcast what's happening on my phone onto the main screen? I think everybody here in the Senate needs to see this. And he's like, yeah, sure, let me get right on that. He's all, you know, tech, and he gets it up, and here we have Micah standing there with Bryce, pushing his power and everything, and he's very fucking angry. And he's like, I can't believe it took me this long. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, where the fuck is the horn, Bryce? And she's like, I don't fucking know where the horn is. And he's like, yes, you do. Don't fucking lie to me. And she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, dude. But, like, seriously, if I had the horn, I would have given it back by now. Like, I've been looking for it also. If I fucking had it, why would I be wasting my time going to look for something? Like, that doesn't make fucking sense. And he goes, didn't you ever wonder why your best friend had you fucking get that tattoo on the back of your back? And she's like, yeah, it's our motto. Like, you know, it has nothing, like, that has nothing to do with the horn. What the fuck are you talking about? And her tattoo is supposed to say, through everything, love is possible. Something like that. I don't know. I'll figure out what it says in a minute. And he's like, no. He's like, Luna's horn was melted down and then turned into a powder. And then Danica that night got you so drunk so that you know what the fuck was going on. And she told you what you wanted to hear. But the powder of Luna's horn was then inked into the tattoo in your back. How long have you known, Bryce? And I'm like, wait, what? Wait, what? Really? Okay. So, he's like, yeah. He's like, I don't have to find the horn. I found the horn. It's you. And she goes, you've been summoning the demons? And he's like, I need to find the fucking horn. I needed the horn. And when you took off that fucking amulet to save Hunt's life, and the demon came after you, I knew. I knew you had the horn. Or, in this case, were the horn. Are the horn. My goodness. So fucking good. So good. Okay. So, Micah then says he killed Danica and the pack. Killed her for what she did to the horn. And then he couldn't fucking find it because with her amulet being on, the fucking demon couldn't find the fucking horn. It would get close, but then because she had on the protection amulet, it couldn't fucking find her. So she's like, wait, why did you kill Danica and the pack? And he goes, well, because Danica hunted all the rebels and left them to Rednar to do experiments on. So Rednar is the industry, or is the tech company, or the pharmaceutical company that created the synthetic magic that's now out on the black market. Yeah. So they created that, and Danica's job for them was to go and get rebels, arrest them, and drop them off for Rednar to go ahead and do experiments on for the synth. So originally, like, I had thought people had volunteered, right? Like in the last video, I was like, these fuckers volunteered to find out what the fuck this synthetic drug did? Are they fucking crazy? No, they didn't fucking volunteer. Danica fucking hunted them down and turned them in. So Micah was behind everything. Everything. He caused the blackout to cover up that. He was summoning the demons. He killed the fucking vampire, and he killed the acolyte in the city. Yes. He even manipulated the Autumn King into looking for the horn and basically do his dirty work for him, so that if anybody got whiffed of what was going on, they would automatically think it was the Autumn King and not Micah. You know, this whole third party. And didn't I say way back when, like, I'm pretty sure it was in here, how we had the whole Twilight thing, and, you know, you had Victoria who was calling the shots, and she was whispering to, you know, her little commander in charge, like Hunt, and was like, you go do this for me. You go do this for me. So this will be here when they fucking find you. I'm still alive, but you did. But I ain't gonna tell you that, because I love you. Yo, Micah was the same fucking way. Sneaky bastard. So, after seeing all this, because everyone on the summit is witnessing everything, getting firsthand, realizing that B is getting him to talk and admit to everything, not realizing all the fucking cameras are on inside the library and are picking up on everything. Yeah. So then all of a sudden, Rune realizes his pull to Bryce wasn't just this connection between brother and sister. No, it was because her horn. When he went that day to the library to see if the library had anything that his starborn power could, like, focus on for the horn, he was drawn to Bryce, thinking that it was something in the library, when all the time it was Bryce. Bryce is the horn. Yeah. So Micah's like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jack your ass up. I'm going to inject you with the synth. You have some kind of a starborn possible power because you've got the blood of the Autumn King. Now that we know that too. And, yeah, I'm going to be able to generate enough power with you. And I can now activate the horn because the lovely tattoo on your back doesn't say, through all things, love is possible. It says, in some ancient language, like ward marks. It's like a ward key. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and activate the horn. And you're going to try to stay fucking alive while I do this. And she's like, you can't fucking do this. Like, you're crazy. You can't do this. And he's like, oh no, I am. So, so he injects her with the synth, and then all of a sudden, she like can feel everything. Her body starts healing because at this time he's been kind of like coming at her, trying to catch her, trying to beat her down so that he can not force himself to like gain access to her back, read the scripture, and then have the horn activated so that he can open up gates. And not just any gates. He wants to open up the gates to hell. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So, B finally like escapes from him because now she's got all this power from the synth, and she basically shoves him into a bathroom or a storage closet, and Lily heats up the door jamb and melts it all together, and she's like, B, you need to get out of here. Like, he's gonna get out of there at any point in time, and you need to get out of here. And she's like, all right, come on, Lily, like, you're free. And Lily's like, I can't leave this place. And B's like, I didn't want to tell you this, but I paid for your freedom. I bought you from Jessica. You're free. You can do whatever you want. You can go wherever you want. You want to go home with me? Let's go home. Like, you don't have to stay here any longer. I swear, I am not going to cry. And Lily's like, no, that's okay. It's okay. I know that I'm free. Thank you for freeing me. But you need to live on. Like, you've got bigger things to do, and we know that you do. Now that we know that you've got the horn, that you're the horn, and like, I need you to be free. So B runs out, and Lily goes over to the big, the huge tank that Nook is in, or whatever the hell its name is. And, she says her whole spiel, like, I need to find it. All of a sudden, Leah starts, pulsing with her power. Like, she's going into the depths of her power, and she's going to unleash this, right? And she's going to hope that she's going to do some kind of damage to Micah. She doesn't know how much damage she's going to do, but she's going to let it go. And she goes, I am the descendant of Ranthia Drawl, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right, Queen of Embers. She is with me, and I am not afraid. My friends are behind me, and I will protect them. And she keeps repeating this all over. My friends are behind me, and I will protect them. My friends are with me, and I am not afraid. Gosh. So she keeps repeating that. My friends are with me, and I am not afraid. And all of a sudden, the glass starts to spiderweb, and everyone in the conference room rose to their feet. Only Sandra, with her attention fixed to the screen, did not notice. They all stood and bore witness to the sprite who brought her death upon herself, upon the Nook, to save her friends. It was all they could offer her, this final respect and honor. Lily still pushed and shook with terror, yet she did not stop. My friends are with me, and I am not afraid. The bathroom door tore open, metal curling aside to reveal Micah, glowing as if newly forged, as if he rendered this world apart. He surveyed the library, eyes landing on Lily, and cracked the tank wall. This is for shrinks, she said, and she slammed her little burning palm into the glass, and 100,000 gallons of water exploded into the library. Flashing red lights erupted, casting the world into a flickering color. A roar rose from below, and the gallery shuddered. And Bryce knew. Shrinks was still whimpering in her arms. Glass littered the gallery floor, and the window to Jessica's office shattered in the level above, and she knew that Lily was dead. Oh my God! motherfucker. Like, why did she have to die? Just, I mean, you ain't obviously outrunning the governor or any kind of an archangel, but for fuck's sake, like, she could have lived. So I totally get why people, and I read different opinions, and, if you go on Instagram, there's all these things like, whose death do you think didn't need to happen? Or whose death do you wish they would resurrect? Like, and I've seen people say Lily. Like, Lily, it wasn't worth it. She could have survived. She didn't have to die. I don't understand why she died. And, well, she died because, in my understanding, Bryce needed that push to know that if she can do it, then everyone else can do it. So Lily died. Yeah, it's crazy. So while all this was going on, and Micah is now, he's got 100,000 gallons of water to wade through or recover from hitting him all at once. Bryce had the antidote that the Med Witch had given her, and she had put that up in Jessica's office in the safe. So she goes up there, she takes the antidote, she throws it back. People are thinking, seriously, you're gonna fucking take drugs right now? All the while, Hypixa's is watching, and she's like, she took the antidote, but I'm not gonna say anything. But she took the antidote. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna keep my fucking fingers crossed and hope that it's actually gonna work before we see Bryce, like, tear herself apart and fucking die. So Bryce takes the antidote, and then she's like, I'm putting a fucking end to this. She grabs God's Slayer, which is a gun, off of the wall, and she starts putting the gun together, all the meanwhile watching the door. She's not even watching what she's doing. Hunt is in awe, because he's like, I've never seen somebody put a gun together and not have to, like, watch what they're doing. This bitch is crazy. She has been trained by Randall so well. Like, she's, oh my God, I'm so in love. And, so B puts this gun all together. And, she takes the bullet and she puts it in the gun. And she had set a trap for Micah, so that when he came out of the library, he would go right to the front door, because she opened the front door to look like she had fled, when all the while she's up in Jessica's office with a fucking gun aimed straight down for him, right? So Micah comes bursting out of the library, soaking wet head to toe. Doesn't even look up. Looking around, notices the door, and he's like, you fucking idiot. Goes to the door, and it's like time slows. And she has, I'm going to guess, some kind of a shotgun or a rifle. But she's got it all into her shoulder. She's looking down the sight, and she's ready to fucking shoot. And she takes the one calming breath, and if you've ever shot anything, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You take a breath, calm your nerves so that you can pull the trigger, and you've got a nice aim, right? So she lines this up, and she shoots Micah in the fucking head. At this point, I'm like, fuck yes! Oh shit, people are sleeping. So I'm like, yes, right? Micah doesn't realize what hit him, I guess. I'm not really sure. All of a sudden, the sword that Danica's mom has been searching for, she hid in Jessica's office. So Bryce takes this sword from Jessica's office, jumps down from the office to the floor, walks up to Micah, and fucking slices him in half. And then, after she slices him in half, she lights his ass on fire. Now, mind you, the cameras are still going. So everyone in the summit is just like, did she seriously just kill the governor? Like, what the fuck? Right? So, lights his ass on fire, and when he was done burning, she vacuumed him up. Got out of vacuum. It was just like, let me just clean up the evidence. Yo, she's like completely fucking crazed. So, thank you, fan art, for this lovely picture of Bryce vacuuming up his ashes. I love it. I just can't. I can't. So, we don't know if Micah, during this whole time after he activated the horn, was successful in opening up any portals. So all of a sudden, when all of the fog and everything clears, and her rage is finally simmered down to an ember, she starts hearing all this screaming, and all these people are running. So she goes out into the streets, and she can see that the Heart Gate is now a portal to hell. And not just the Heart Gate. Every portal, then there's 7 of them. All 7 portals are opened to the gates of hell. And there are all sorts of demons and creatures coming through the gate. Hunt is like, oh my fucking God. We need to get to the fucking Crescent City. We need to get there. Like, we can't sit here. We need to get people there. People are going to be dying. Like, and he's like, he's the demon, killer, slayer, whatever the fuck you want to call him. So he knows what a lot of these fucking things could do. And he's just like, yeah, no, this isn't good. This is bad. Right? But yeah, so Micah was successful. So we have 7 gates to hell are open. Demons are attacking anything that moves. Bryce is running for the human territory because the Fae territory, well, they have, Fae. They're immortal. They can withstand a little bit more than humans. And, the wolves, they're wolves. And, Bone Quarter means fucking Bone Quarter. Everyone's dead. So it's like, you need to get to the humans. Like, nobody's there protecting those people who are basically defenseless. They have nothing to turn to. So she's running for the human territory because there's no aid. Ethan and the other shifters have orders to stay and protect, the pack house and all that stuff. And Ethan's like, yeah, fuck that. Like, Bee's in trouble? Listen, I forgive her for a lot of shit. And we need to go help the humans. Like, that's the whole point of becoming immortal, is to protect those less fortunate than you. So, him and a couple others from the shifter pack disobey orders and they go to Bryce. The last shelter is about to close because there's, I guess, underground shelters and, you have a door. So, think of like the Hunger Games, and you've got District 13 is getting bombed, but in this case we've got a whole bunch of demons running after you as you're running down the stairs to get to that door before it closes, and then you can't, it's not reopening until the threat's over. So, this door's shutting, and she's like, get to the door. And Ethan was hurt, and she knows he isn't going to make it. So what does she do? She pushes Ethan into the bunker or the safe house, whatever, the shelter, and the door closes. She's sitting there kind of like in this enclave or whatever the hell you want to call it. And she's like, I'm going to fucking die. Like, I don't have anybody. If they haven't made it to a shelter, they're dead. Like, even the Viper Queen sent people to the human territory to try to help. So, as Bryce is trying to figure out what to do, she's like, I've got to get to the Heart Gate. I've got to get to the Heart Gate. Because at the Heart Gate, you have the disc. And that disc can communicate to all other seven gates. And maybe she could find someone. She wants to make the drop. She's got to find someone that could be her anchor so she can make the drop, because with whatever power she has, she knows that she can close these gates, or she's hoping, right? So she's going to the Heart Gate, per my theory, to become a fucking star. So she gets to the gate and she's like, is anybody there? Can anybody help me? I need help. I need someone to be my anchor. I need to make the drop. I think I know how to close the gates. And she's waiting. Nobody. She's like, well, maybe I'll just make the drop by myself. Maybe I can go ahead and get back by myself. I don't know how else to do this. Like, I need to become what the Oracle showed me. I need to do this. I've got to do this. So all of a sudden, the bone quarter little gem lights up and Danica's voice comes through and she's like, I'm here with you, B. I've got you. Place your hand on the medallion circle, whatever the fuck you want to say it. She calls Hunt and Hunt picks up his phone and she's like, I thought it was gonna go to auto voicemail, and he's like, help is coming, Bryce. And she's like, no, it'll be too late. And he's like, it won't. I need you to get up, Bryce. I need you to go to a safer location. And she's like, I can't. It's still open wide. He goes, go to your apartment. Stay there until help comes. Huh, I need you to call my mom, he says. Don't start making those kind of goodbyes, he says. I need you to call my mom. You know, basically tell her goodbye. I needed to tell my dad. And, he's all, telling her, I need you to go to safer ground. I need you to go to safer ground. And then she goes, and tell Rune I forgive him. I forgave him a long time ago. I just didn't know how to tell him. To tell him that I'm sorry I hid the truth, and that I only did what I did because I loved him, and I didn't want to take anything away from him. He'll always be the better one of us. He goes, Bryce, sweetheart, just get back to your apartment. Give me an hour. And I know, she says. You know, I was waiting for you too, in here. God! So, while all this is happening, Fury, Rune, Theron, and Flynn took a helicopter to the city to find help for B. But the Ashtree's vehicle, the Ashtrees may be sending vehicles. So everyone at the summit witnesses, thanks to the cameras, because Declan has all the cameras turned on. And, they heard the goodbye to Rune, because she's basically telling Rune, like, I know that I have the Starborn power. Like, I blinded the fucking Oracle for 2 weeks. And I didn't want to take that power, any of that away from you, so I hid it. She hid it in the deepest, darkest parts of her so that it couldn't emerge or be found. She hid it. And all the while all this is going on, we have the Autumn King who calls her mom and bitches out her mom for not telling him. And she's like, why the fuck would I tell you? Like, B went there on her own accord to see what kind of a person you were before she decided to tell you anything about her. And you automatically thought she was bastard bored, didn't have anything, and you threw her the fuck out. Little did you know, she's the one that's going to go ahead and carry on your legacy. Not your son, your fucking bastard daughter. And hangs up the phone. If you could be trusted, whatever. So, during all this, Hunt's like, I'm coming with you guys. Like, I'm going to get on that helicopter. And Hypixia comes up and she's like, are you going to be able to do what needs to be done? And Hunt looks at her and goes, yes. With a wave of Hypixia's hand, Hunt's halo disappears. And all of a sudden, everything goes really quiet as Hunt turns around, stares at Sandral, because fucking Sandral called the Ashtree and is like, the city is beyond saving. There's no survivors. You need to destroy the city. There's demons coming everywhere. They're going to take over the world. You need to destroy the city. Hunt turns around because he knows that Sandra sent a message to kill B. And Hunt returns the favor and kills Sandra. Oh my god, like, holy fucking hell. In the Senate, or in the summit, with anybody who's still there watching that hasn't fucking run to try to aid their people, kill Sandra. Yep. So, as they're flying, they realize, you know, nobody's going to be able to be there for B. And here come the Astray vehicles with these huge missiles. And they're getting ready to fucking dump them into the city. And they send a few, and they're not anywhere near the Heart Gate, which is where Bryce is. So Hunt's like, we're not going to get there in time. We're not going to get there in time. I'm going to get to her. I'm going to get to her. I'm going to get to her. And they're like, dude, your wings aren't ready to fly yet. Like, they've just fully grown back. Like, you're not ready to fly. And he's like, I don't plan on flying. I plan on falling. Yeah. So he jumps out of this helicopter and finds Bryce and basically lands with her and shields her from the blast that is about to hit exactly where she is. So B lies now, and the missiles are done coming. But the gates, some of the gates are still operational. Some of them aren't because they're destroyed. Some of them are still operational. So so Hunt now is basically lying dead, or is dying. And B is like, I need to ask for help. So she's asking for help. Can anybody help her? She wants to do the drop. She needs an anchor. Danica answers, and B makes a drop. And they're reminiscent about how fucking crazy they were, and the motorcycle accident, and, you know, how well they bonded. And, you know, Danica's like, you didn't have to do this for me, B. Like, why did you give up your place? Did you not think I was worthy enough to be here? Like, you know, all this stuff. And B's like, I'm so grateful, you know, for everything. And she's going through all these emotions, right? So she got to talk to Danica, and what was left of Danica's soul, she gave to B to push her into her ascent. Because once she makes the drop, her mortal body dies, and you have a certain amount of time or minutes. I think it's like 7 minutes, you know, because the whole 7 thing. In order for her to return back to her body, for her soul to ascend, to become that immortal that she is. So, as she's trying to make the climb, there is some kind of a meter that Declan's able to see where she's made the drop. She's here. She's going into her power. So as she's making the drop, it shows what level of power she's at. She keeps going, and they're like, my God, she's like still fucking going, right? So as Bryce is going, you have like serfs, your whatever hierarchy, your higher hierarchy. You've got the king of Autumn Court, and Bryce is like right there, right? And they're like, there's no way that she's going to get all the way back up there. Like, she's got no anchor. How's she going to get up there? So Danica's like, light it up, Bryce. Light it up, light it up, light it up. And I'm like, oh, that's where this comes from. That's why Danica is like, light it up, light it up. Because as they're reminiscing about this whole, oh my God, it was so fucking good. So a memory comes in. Danica's knelt on the asphalt. Hands are interlocked behind her blood-soaked hair, and 2 gunshot wounds to her leg had stopped leaking blood. But Bryce knew the bullets remained lodged in her upper thigh, and the pain from kneeling had to be unbearable. "You stupid cunt," the ass Schaefer spat at her, opening a chamber in his handgun with brutal precision. Bullets were on their way as soon as his associate found them, and that gun was loaded. This was when they went on that motorcycle ride to try to save all the animals that were being tested on. It's funny how then Danica started giving people to have shit tested on, but whatever. So the motorcycle smoldered 30 feet away, the rifle thrown even further than that. Down the road, the steam truck still idled, its cargo hold filled with all those petrified animals on their way to God knows where. They had failed. Their wild rescue attempt had failed. Danica's Carmel's eyes met the ass shifters, the leader of the horrific smuggling ring, the male responsible for this moment when shot out that had taken place at 100 miles an hour had turned on them. Danica had been steering the motorcycle, an arm looped through Bryce's leg to hold her steady as she aimed her rifle, taking out the ass 2 sedans full of equally hateful males intent on hurting and selling those animals. They had been nearing the racing semi when the male before them had managed to shoot the motorcycle tire. The motorcycle flipped, and Danica had reacted with wolf speed as she had wrapped her body around Bryce and had taken the brunt of the impact. Her shredded skin, her fractured pelvis, all thanks to that. "Bryce," Danica whispered. "Bryce, I love you. I am so sorry." "Don't you regret it," Bryce told her, shaking with truth. And then the ass shifter associates arrived, bullets in hand. Danica sobbed. "I love you, Bryce. I love you too," Bryce said to Danica. Danica had never said those words to anyone before, especially not Sabine, whatever the hell you want to call her. Bryce watched the tears roll down Danica's proud, fierce face. A lock clicked open in Bryce's heart and her soul. "Close your eyes, Danica," she said softly. Danica just stared at her. For this once, and only for Danica, would she do this? Would she risk this? The gravel around Bryce began to shiver, began to float upward. Danica's eyes widened. Bryce's hair drifted as if underwater. In a deep space, the ass shifter finished loading the bullets and pointed the gun at Danica's face. His colleague smirked from the step behind him. Bryce held Danica's stare, did not look away as she said again, "Danica, close your eyes." Trembling, Danica obeyed, squeezing them shut. The ass shifter clicked off the gun's safety, not even glancing at Bryce and the debris that had floated toward the sky. "Yeah, you better close your eyes, you." And Bryce exploded. White, blinding light ruptured from her, unleashing from that secret place in her heart, right into the eyes of the ass shifter. He screamed, clawing at his face, blazing bright as the sun. Bryce moved. Pain forgotten, she had his arm in her hands, and in a heartbeat, twisted it as so that he would drop the gun into her waiting palm. Another movement, and he was sprawled out on the asphalt, where she had fired a bullet meant for Danica into his heart. His accomplices were screaming on their knees and clawing at their eyes, and Bryce fired again. He stopped screaming. Bryce did not stop burning, not as she raced for the semi-cab as the final ace, now trying to start the engine. Danica was trembling on the ground, hands over her head, eyes squeezed shut against the brightness. The shifter gave up on the engine and fled the cab, sprinting down the road. Bryce took aim, just as Randall had taught her, waiting for the shot to come to her. Another crack of the gun, and the male dropped. Bryce blazed for a long moment, the world bleached in blinding light, and slowly, carefully, she spooled the light back into herself, smothered it into the secret place that smothered it, the secret she and her parents had kept for so long, from her sire, from the Astri, from Midgard, from Rune. that pure light of a star from another world, from long, long ago, the gift of the ancient Fae, reborn again, light but nothing more than that, not an Astri who had possessed brute power of the stars, just light. It meant nothing to her, but the star-born gift, the title, they had always meant something to Rune. And that at first time that she had met him, she intended to share her secret with him. He'd been kind, joyful at finding a new sister, and she'd instantly known that she could trust him with the secret. But when she'd seen their father's cruelty, seen how the star-born gift gave her brother just the slightest edge against that fucking monster, she'd seen the pride her brother was denied, but undoubtedly felt at being starborn, blessed and chosen by Erd. She couldn't bring herself to tell Rune the truth. Even after things fell apart, she hid it. Never would she tell anyone at all, except Danica. Blue skies overhead, olive trees filtered back in. Danica still trembled. Danica, Bryce said. Danica lowered her hands from her face, opened her eyes, and Bryce waited in terror. For her mother had warned her about, should someone learn what she'd worn, the strange, terrible light that had come from another world. But there was only wonder in Danica's eyes. Wonder and love. Oh my God. So, she's making the drop. She's ascending. Danica pushed her forward. And as she's ascending, she's giving off the first lights of power. The first light that was granted went into every gate and closed the portals. It also healed Hunt fully and repaired the city. So, as she made the drop and came into her power then exploded through the gates. It healed Hunt instantly. It started to patch up the world, kind of think of like Harry Potter and, not Harry Potter. We'll talk about, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Like, you know, when the city obliterated and then they used their wands and everything started to go back the way it was. Yeah, that's what she was able to do. So it almost reversed some stuff that had been damaged. It was able to heal some other people, but people that were already dead, unfortunately, could not be resurrected by her power. So as Hunt is now alive, he realizes that Bee has made the drop and she's not back yet. Like, he needs to be her anchor. So he's like, stay with me, come back to me. He needs to bring her soul home. So he used his power to anchor Bee and to bring her soul home. So he basically drew lightning and blasts it into her to bring her back. And thanks to some really great fucking fan art, we have just an awesome picture of this depicted for us. And oh, it's exactly how I imagined it. Like, I love it. So all of this, everyone got to see it. Everyone got to witness everything. And Bee is like a hairline just shy of being as powerful as the Autumn King. A bastard born. That's just great. Anyway, so after all of this, the Astri call Bryce and basically tell her to live a great and quiet life. And they're allowing her to live since she saved everyone. Since she closed the gates and saved everyone. They are, for now, looking past the errors of her ways and killing Micah and all of that stuff. And they need to, she needs to live a quiet life. And she needs to make sure that nobody else can access the horn. Yeah. So, Hunt is now free of the halo, so he doesn't have to worry about being enslaved or service to them, but he still has the slave tattoo. And, you know, the Astrid is like, is there anything else that you want? And she's like, thinking to herself, yeah, there's something. And they're like, it's granted. Call ends, and Hunt's like, what? He looks down to his wrist, and there is now a mark over top of his slave tattoo, and he is officially 100% free. And that's how our book ends. That is how our book ends. There is a little epilogue. And thanks to fan art, we have a little depiction as well, where Adidas comes in his cat form to Jessica, and Jessica goes, you know, you're not a cat, right? So, again, we know Adidas is obviously going to be coming back for some more. I cannot wait to start book 2. So, now that book 1 was epic. So, to all the people that have given it a bad read, that have DNF'd it because it's too slow, because we're building a world that's going to be fucking epic in and of its own creation, like, I feel really bad for you guys. Like, you've missed out on another great adventure. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, which I hope you did, and I hope you enjoyed all of the other videos in this series. I've had such a wonderful time making these for you. Give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button so that you can, you know, stay tuned with us and keep going on this wonderful journey. We have 2 more books to get into. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you again so much for tuning in and watching and enjoying this series with me. And we'll see you soon with book 2. Have a great night. Bye.